The blue ocean strategy has always fascinated me ever since I heard about it. And I want to talk about ways to adapt the core elements of that for being a nomad capitalist. Because even if you've heard of the blue ocean strategy, there are probably some global ideas that you're not applying in your business that can help you get more out of this excellent idea. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. So the blue ocean strategy was turned into a book. It was the result of an experiment with about 150 companies that the authors studied. And they basically went through and determined that competing against people in an industry leads to lower market share, lower profit margins. The idea was to not be in a red ocean, not be in an ocean where you're poking and spilling blood in the water, but have a blue ocean where you have some territory all to yourself, where you can be number one in that industry. And I always liked the idea. I was just talking to a guy the other day, said, you should be the number one photographer for, dentists, or, number one for, whatever it is that you do. And this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs are following. But what interests me is how to adapt these principles for the idea of a global world. Because if you're just doing business and running your business and doing everything in one country, you're probably missing out from some other things. So the first thing that comes to my mind, of course, at Nomad Capitalist is tax. I look at emails from people that I get, and I look at the address on the bottom of the email. And whenever I see like a SaaS company or someone who's selling me something, and I see an email in Malta, or an address in Malta, or an address in Cyprus, or an address in Hong Kong, and I know that this is like a global business. It was started by Westerners. I say these guys are doing something that their competitors are not. These guys are creating a blue ocean for themselves because they're opting out of the tax system where they're from. So I may not necessarily like Malta or Cyprus as my favorite go-to offshore jurisdictions. However, if these business owners have taken the step to say, over here in the United States, it's competitive. We're losing a lot of money by paying so much tax, or Australia, the UK, whatever. If you're doing business and paying corporate tax at that level in those countries, or if you're paying income tax as a sole trader, even worse, you're probably leaving a lot of money on the table that can't go back into building your business. And so that guy who did put his e-commerce business in Malta, where he can pay 5% tax, he's going to have a competitive advantage against you because he's going to be able to go out and buy more products, do more marketing, do more pay-per-click, hire more people to grow the business faster. And therefore, you're almost going to get shoved into the red ocean by matter of the fact that he's doing something entirely different. He's in a blue ocean of lower tax. Another thing that I think is important if you're going to be running a business that could be global is, where is your workforce? As much as Tim Ferriss popularized the concept of hiring people overseas through platforms like Upwork, and I think now a lot of people are actually just hiring full-time workers in the traditional way in other countries. But as much as that's become popular, I still know a lot of people who are hiring people domestically for their businesses, and that's costing them a lot of money. Again, it's forcing them into a red ocean of competition because their profit margins are lower than they could be. When there's the whole blue ocean, there's a whole wide open sea of opportunities that people who would like jobs, perhaps who are in higher unemployment countries who really need jobs, who would like to come and work for you and do a great job. There's nothing wrong with that in my mind, of saying, I'm going to go over to Romania and people are willing to work for less because it costs less. Nothing wrong with that. But I remember when I ran one of my businesses in the United States, we did home service work. And one of the things that we did was we just posted on Craigslist. We ran kind of traditional old school advertising that worked relatively well. But this is pretty monotonous work, so I decided I'm going to hire a guy through one of these freelancing sites. The guy's in Bangladesh, and I'm going to pay him $1.50 an hour, which was actually pretty good compared to what everyone else wanted to be paid. That was good money for him at the time. And when I went to sell the business, people were laughing, the potential buyers, that's fantastic, we've never heard of that, we've never even thought of that. Because all the other people who were in my industry weren't willing to think globally. When they needed bookkeeping or admin or whatever other work done, they simply looked in their geographical area, not even in their country, but they looked in their city. And they missed out on a tremendous opportunity, not only to have the global perspective that maybe someone overseas can bring, but they were paying a lot more money, and that allowed me to do a lot more with my business. But most importantly, forget about just costs. Taxes are important, cost of operating your business is important. But one of the things that a lot of people are leaving on the table is money selling into new markets. Interestingly enough, here at Nomad Capitalist, we've somewhat carved out our own blue ocean, because in the dual nationality second citizenship business, more than 80% of that business is in China and a few other countries. There aren't that many Americans or Brits who really want second passports at the investment grade level. And so I've said, what do I know about being Chinese? I don't know what it's like. I don't know their needs. I'm much better able to serve someone who's from the United States, who wants that second passport as a financial strategy, as a plan B, or for whatever other reason. And so our Blue Ocean strategy is being one of the few who actually talks about this stuff to Westerners, whereas in other countries it is cutthroat. There are thousands of immigration agents in China who are all competing for business. Meanwhile, there's not that many people in the West. But ask yourself, what could your product do if you flip that? Could your product be sold into new markets? Could your servers be sold into new markets? Why aren't you attacking the blue oceans that are other countries? When I go on Facebook or on YouTube and I look at ad rates, you can be running ads to people in emerging countries where there's still a decent amount of wealth. Malaysia, Mexico, Chile. These countries are not poor, and yet the cost per click to advertise to some of these countries is a third or a quarter. There are probably people in Chile who would like to buy your product, but there's so much land rush going on in targeting the United States on Facebook or targeting your home country that you're probably missing out on a lot of other opportunities. For me, having spent the last 11 years traveling and now living and researching this whole idea of global citizenship, I not only realize that you're probably overpaying if you're doing business and paying tax in your own country. You're overpaying if you're hiring in your own country, and you're probably not seeing all the potential because you're not seeing all the other countries around the world that are growing so much faster than your country, and those are places where your product or service can be sold. If you put that all together, I think you can create a blue ocean of entirely new proportions.
I'm Andrew Henderson, and if you're looking for a way to legally reduce your taxes, build your freedom, and create wealth faster as a global citizen, then you've come to the right place. I want you to do 3 things right now. Number 1, click the button to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to get notifications so you never miss a new video. Number 2, get a copy of our #1 best-selling book, Nomad Capitalist, on Amazon, and learn all the dozens of benefits of our lifestyle. And number 3, if you're already a 6 or 7-figure entrepreneur and you want to put these strategies in place, go to nomadcapitalist.com and find out how to get some help.